everybody. So we are going to talk about chapter 14 in Adventures of Huck Finn. It's called Was Solomon Wise? And actually in this chapter is a little bit mellow. Not a whole lot of adventure going on. But actually what does happen is when they wake up from falling asleep after they sunk the robbers' boat that they stole, they look through all of the stuff that they kept that was in the boat that the robbers had robbed from that ferry boat. And in there was books. And Huck now knows how to read, thanks to the widow and thanks to her making sure he went to school. So to pass the time, he was reading books to Jim, and Jim was just fascinated. And one of the things they talk about is this King Solomon. Now, for those of you that might not know the story of King Solomon, there are several, but the one they're talking about in here is he had a child, and he had a child with multiple women. And two women in this story are arguing about a certain child and which one the child belonged to. Well, King Solomon, he was like, I'll figure out really quick who this child belongs to. And so what he says is, I'm going to chop this child in half, and you can get one half, and you can get the other half. Because what would the real mom do in that situation? She'd say, no, I'll give him up if it means you're going to chop him in half, because that means the child's going to die. Whereas the idea is the person that's not actually the mom would be like, oh yeah, that seems fair. Right. Well, Jim can't wrap his head around it. He said, that doesn't make any sense. Why would a king just chop a child in half? And he's going on, and Huck's trying to make him understand the moral of the story, and he's not listening. Which brings them to then move on and talk about Huck's kind of like, he couldn't make any sense of it. So I moved on and started talking about other kings in the books. And they get to the point where Huck is talking about the French and how Frenchmen speak French. And Jim cannot wrap his head around the fact that not everybody speaks in English. And so how Huck tries to make him understand it is he's saying, does a cat and a cow talk the same way? Jim's like, well, no. Does a cat and a human talk the same way? No. So then he says, well, then why would a Frenchman and us talk the same way? And then Jim's like, because we're both men, and he just can't wrap his mind around the idea of a different language. And so Huck's just really frustrated. He's like, oh, he's so stubborn. And that's all that really happens in this chapter is you really get to see Huck's sense of understanding of the world, because he was able to understand the King Solomon story, and he's able to pick out a moral of this story. That's a pretty significant skill. Just think about today and think about some of the things that you're required to do in school. Those are things that you've learned to pick out, okay, what's the theme of the story? What's the moral of the story? And Huck's able to do that, which really speaks about his intelligence, which I think is important given that he obviously doesn't have great grammar. It's very intentful that, the way he talks might make us think that maybe Huck's not intelligent. But then we see these little things in the story, and it makes us realize, oh, wow, Huck is really smart. And then we see Jim's stubbornness come about, and, we just get to know their characters a little bit more. And it's kind of humorous, too, in this chapter. So, all right. Well, thanks for bearing with me. We'll tune in for chapter 15 next. I do plan to do a segment here where we just kind of back up and we kind of recap the whole book, and we kind of talk about, okay, where's this going? What are we... what's the end goal here? Are they just going to keep going down the river, or what do we think is going to happen? What do we think are they ever going to stop? And just kind of remind ourselves of why they're going to keep going, why they want to keep trying to go in the first place. So tune in for that. I'll probably put it on the same Google Doc as chapters 12 through now this one, 14. So thanks again. Thanks for bearing with me. It's really painful for me to watch these videos of me talking. This means that this is what I'm doing when I talk to you guys in class. I use my hands a lot. Not great, but I can't help it. It's just my natural movement. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me through these. And keep up with your reading, keep up with the questions. And like I've said in the other videos, email me if any questions arise or you need help with anything that is giving you trouble. All right. Thank you and have a good day.